I'm not able to hear your voice.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah,
And to demonstrate this Vpc endpoint, I need to have one instance in the private subnet. Okay. So let's launch an instance first of all, and I'm launching the instance in Mumbai region. You can choose any one of them. Yes. Okay. So click on this launch instance. Okay. So I'm going to use like Amazon Linux 2 AMI. The benefit of using this AMI is that like the AWS CLI will be installed by default. Okay. So let's go and choose this AMI and T2.micro for demo purpose. And yeah, here we can choose your VPC. So this is the VPC which we created earlier, right? As God. Now in this VPC, we have only one subnet, and I will go and make this subnet as public by updating the route table. So as of now, I'm not really aware whether it is a public or private subnet. Why I'm telling you that so that I can highlight that yes, like public and private subnet totally depends upon the route table of the subnet. Now it should be having a public IP address by default, so enable it, and yeah, rest of the thing will be same. Click on this add storage, and you have this 8 GB of root volume. Click on this tag, and I'm going to give it a that is name and public instance. Let's say configure security group. So port number 22 should be open, and we have a default security group, and no port is open as of now. You can see like the source is default right here, and this is the security group ID of this security group itself. So that means there is no port open as of now. So I will go and create a new security group for this requirement, and I will say like VPC Endpoint demo. Okay. And once like we do this demo, then I will give you a definition, a proper definition that what do we understand by VPC endpoint. As of now, you can keep this thing in mind that VPC endpoint is a private link. VPC endpoint is a private link. That's it. Nothing more than that. Review and click on this launch, right? And here I'm going to choose or create one key here. Download this key pair somewhere where you can keep this key pair safe. So I will be downloading this key pair on my desktop. Okay, click on this launch instance. Yep. So as I was saying that, I'm not really aware whether this subnet is a private subnet or public subnet. So I will go to my Asgard VPC once again. So this is my VPC, and so these are my VPCs. I will choose or filter by using this Asgard, and we'll go and click on this subnet, right? So this subnet is attached to the route table right here, and it has only one route. So it is a private subnet, right? Now I need to create the integrated gateway for me or for this subnet. So let's see if we have, yeah, we already have the integrated gateway in this VPC. So now we can go to the route table once again and click on this routes, click on this routes, and click on this added routes, and click on this added route, add route, and then say that if the packet is for outside of this 40.0.0.0/16, so in that case forward traffic to the internet gateway, forward the traffic to the internet gateway. So I will say like if the traffic is something other than 40.0.0.0/16, then, and basically that we indicate by using the default route. So this is something known as default route, as I already explained. So click on this save routes, click on this close, right? Okay. Now at the same time, I would like to create one more subnet, with the another route table. So let's go and create one more subnet, and click on this create subnet, and I will say like private subnet. Okay. Choose your VPC. So you need to choose your VPC. It is as card, and you can define the availability zone. So whenever you create subnet, so you have to choose the availability zone. All the networking stuff will be used from that availability zone itself. So let me choose 1C, and here I can say 40.0.2.0/24. Fine. Now go and click on this create and close. So now we have like two subnets. I can name this subnet as public subnet, public subnet. Yep. So this is my public subnet and this is my private subnet. There is only one difference that, okay, as of now, both having the, same route table. So if I go and click on this route table, so you can see like, IGW is available right here in the routes. And if I go and click on this private subnet, so you'll find the same thing. That means both of them are public subnet. Now, what I need to do, I need to create the new route table and attach that route table with this private subnet. Click on this route table and click on this create route table. Give a name as our private route table. The VPC is already chosen and click on this create. Now, this is the number CF9. Go and click on this close. And yeah, so we got the route table, and the another one we can name as the main route table, right? Main route table. Okay. So if I click on the routes of the private route table, so you will find that we have only one route, right? That, and here we are saying that if we have a destination for 40.0.0.0/16 networks, in that case, forward the traffic to the local target. Okay. So now go back to our subnets once again. Go back to subnet, click on this private subnet, and click on this action, or and we can like go and click on this route table. Okay, click on this route table and click on this edit route table association. Edit route table association. So what was the number? CF9. CF9. Okay. Now click on save. Click on close. Cool, right? So we got our second subnet, and the second subnet is a completely private subnet. Now let's go back to the EC2 instance once again, and let's try to log into this EC2 instance by using the public IP address. So I will open my Git bash from my desktop, and the key is available in my desktop. So if I say ls-l and the name of the key pair, let me increase the font size. The name of the key pair is Lenovo key pair, right? So this key is available. This is what it indicates. And if I will be giving any wrong file name, so it will say no such file or directory, right? So you can see this message. SSH-i and Lenovo key pair, and default username for Amazon Linux is ec2-user paste the public IP address. Now you have to say yes right here, and you have logged in, right? We have logged in successfully to this instance. Okay. So now if I go and run a command AWS configure, so or if I say like AWS help, so yep. So you can see like the AWS CLI is already installed on this machine. So by default on Amazon Linux 2, you will find that Amazon CLI is already available. Now what I will be doing, I have to go and configure the AWS CLI on this machine. So there are like two ways. Either you create a user and give the access key and secret key, or you attach a role. So today, I wanted to attach a role with this instance. So go back to your Chrome, and so here, click on action, go to instance settings, and attach and replace IAM role. And this is quite useful. In organizations, we use role most of the time, and we try to use role as much as possible. Because role is much secure than access key and secret key. Access key and secret key can be shared with other people, right? If you have shared with your developer and developers have shared that access key and secret key with his friend or somebody else, so in that case it is a problem. Okay, but our role can only be assumed with the from the entity which is allowed. So you cannot assume a role from any other place, right? If it is EC2, then you can only use this role from the EC2 instance. Okay. Now I have like a couple of roles available, and you can see like last time we created this DevOps IAM profile from the CLI, right? And I also updated the page, and I have given the link in your assignment one doc file. So I mentioned clearly like last time we was getting an error. The error was like whenever we were trying to create the IAM role and was trying to attach that IAM role with the instance. So we were getting an error, right? Something like parameter name, profile name, kind of stuff. Remember? So, and when we did the same thing from the console, so the problem got resolved. The IAM role and IAM profile got created at the same time, and we were successfully able to attach that role with these two systems. Now, what was the problem? I just wanted to recap, right? What was the problem in that case? Have you, any one of you, gone through that solution, which I have updated in the link? Any one of you wanted to mention anything? Okay, no worries. So just wanted to say or mention, it will help you whenever you will be trying the same thing from the CLI. That when you create a role, IAM role from the CLI, and you wanted to attach that role to the EC2 instance, then you have to do one more thing. That is like creating IAM role from the CLI. When you do the same activity from the GUI, so in that case, the IAM role gets created and IAM profile also gets created at the same time. But if I talk about the CLI, then you have to do this activity in two steps. The first step is to create the role, IAM role, and the second step is to create the IAM profile so that you can attach that role with the EC2 instance. And rest of the things will be same, like uh, attaching a policy which says that this role can be assumed by only the EC2 instance, trusted entity. So everything is going to be same. Only this thing has to be added. Like you have to go and create the IAM profile by using the CLI. Okay, guys. So yeah. So this is how this is coming here. DevOps IAM profile, and go and click on apply. Now the IAM profile has been attached with the EC2 instance, and I would like to know that what all permission has been given to this DevOps role. IAM, go to this IAM service, and click on this role. Where is that? IAM DevOps IAM profile and DevOps policy. So click on this JSON, and okay, so we have given the permission related to EC2. Now, for the demonstration purpose, I will be adding this S3 read access. S3 read access. Okay. Now the policy has been attached, so my EC2 instance will be able to perform these actions which are written in these policies. Now go back to my console, the terminal, press Q to come out from this stop command, and I'm going to clear the screen. Yep. To run the command AWS configure to configure the AWS CLI on your machine. You have already seen this, right? And because now you don't have the access key and secret key, you have just attached the IAM role. So hit enter, and define a reason. Say this one. Okay. So if I run this AWS S3 LS, so I should be able to see all the buckets in my account. So fortunately, I don't have any bucket in the account. So I will just go and create one. Or can we do one thing? Can we go and create the bucket from the CLI itself? So let me take the, okay. Yep. So here we can go and search like MB. Yep. So MB is right here. Okay. So AWS S3 MB is a command which we use to, which allow us to create the S3 bucket. Now, let me go and try. S3 colon, and let's say uh, Darul High Tech, right? Okay, so because we have given only the read permission, so we will not be able to do it. That's fine. I will go and try to create this bucket from the management console. So S3 service create bucket and Srarul high tech, and the reason you have to choose. And do you want to block all the public access? Yes, I wanted to, and say like create bucket, right? So your bucket will be get created, and now it is available, and it says like access is not public. If I go back and try to run this S3 ls command, so I should see this bucket, right? So you can see the bucket is available now. Okay, fine. So now, you know, okay. Now I wanted to come back to the point, which is VPC endpoint. Okay, I was saying that the VPC endpoint you can think of as a private link, and why do we need this VPC endpoint? That is what we are going to talk in this session. Okay, so now you can see like that we have the internet access to this instance, and we are able to like launch the and we are able to run this AWS CLI command successfully. Okay. If I try to create one instance which don't have the internet access, and that is probably the ideal case in case of any production environment, you will not find the internet access to the instances. You know, only like out of 100 or 200 or 300 or 400, maybe like 1,000, there will be only one instance which have the access to the internet, something known as basin host or jump host. Okay, both are same. So you will log into this jump host, and from that jump host you will try to switch a jump from one instance to the another instance, and that instance, the final instance, will not be having the internet access. Even in some of the cases, because of the security purpose, we don't have the connection to the NAT gateway. So now let's say that you want to copy something to your S3 bucket. So how you can go and perform that activity? And you want to download something from your S3 bucket on that instance, which is available in the private subnet and which don't have any internet access. So let me you know simulate that environment for you. So go back to the EC2 instance, and I am going to click on this launch more like this, and I will go back to the configure instance and will choose my private subnet, right? Private subnet. So as of now, 251 IP address is available, and we don't need any kind of public IP address. Even we attach, so that will not make any sense. Now go back and click on this review and launch. Everything will be same, and I will say like launch. Again, the keyword will be same. Okay, so it is saying that requested instance t2.micro is not supported in requested ability zone. So AWS have launched a new ability zone in Mumbai, that is 1C, and it is available only, I think like 6 months back they started this season or this ability zone. Earlier it was not here. So I will go back to my uh, instance type and will try to change to small. Okay. Yeah, I have changed it and say next and say review and launch. Okay. Let me see, instance type in AP South 1C. Do we have any small one? Seems like okay. I will just go and check the general purpose one. Okay, so what I will do, like I will go and create one more subject in one way. So go back to the VPC. Go back to the VPC and filter it by UCP as guard VPC and click on subnets. Right, and I will not be able to update this, ability zone. That is not possible. So what you need to do, you need to create a new subnet, and I can name it like same PRVT subnet 2, and you can choose the availability zone 1B, and here you can give a new block 40.0.3.0/24. Okay, go and click on this create. Fine. So this second subnet got created, and again we can go and update the route table, right? So you can see that it has attached with a default route table. So you always need to update the route table association. Click on this, choose your route table, choose your private route table, and bound route table can be attached with multiple subnets, not a problem at all. Now go back to your launch instance, and I will go to the review screen once again. Click on this configure instance, and I will refresh this thing, and let's see if we get the third one. So as guard, and here we go. So now we have this second subnet available in AP-South-1B zone, and I will also change the instance type to micro just to avoid some extra builds, and click on this. Yeah, yes, I want to continue with t2.micro. Then next, review, launch. Everything will be same. And okay. Now it is showing the correct one, right? Okay, launch, and yeah. So done a lot of things, right? So okay, I hope that you guys are like getting it up, and I will just go and summarize that what I've done. So I created like a subnet. In that subnet, I launch an instance, and the subnet in which this instance is available, that is a private subnet. That means you will not be able to make a direct connection. Now we need to log into this subnet, right? And by default, every instance in all the subnet can connect. So all the instances will be able to make a connection to each other in one subnet. Now, I have a key pair, right? I have a key pair that allows us to log into this instance. But first of all, we have to go and move that key pair to our instance, where to our jump instance, jump host. So in your companies, you will be getting access to the key pair. So let me go and open this git bash right here, and I wanted to get the content of this Lenovo key pair. So this is the key pair, and I will just go and copy this thing. And this is my jump host. So I will create a file, and the file name can be anything. Let's say key.pem and paste the whole thing. So right click and paste, hit enter, then control C. So you will see that a file got created, and you can also verify the permission. So this is the permission. RW, that means 6. Again RW, that means 6. And again R, that means 4. So you have a permission called 664. Now you wanted to update the permission on this spam file, which you have to perform in order to log into this instance. Otherwise, it will not allow. So chmod, and the permission will be 6400. That means only the user who is the owner of this file, key.pem, will be able to access the content. Nobody else. So key.pem. If I say ls-l long list, so you can see the permission has been changed. Read and write, that is 6. Okay, no permission for group, no permission for others. Now let's copy the the private IP address of my private instance, and yep. So this is the one, and I need to change the tag value. Copy this SSH -I, name of the key pair, and EC2 -user @ this one. Okay, hit enter, and you will be able to log into this instance. So we have logged in to this instance. Now what we can verify whether any IAM role is attached to this instance or not, right? So let's verify the same thing. Go to the description of this private instance, and let's verify the role. So you can see like the role is also available on this instance, DevOps IAM profile. So what I need to do, I need to just, in order to access the things from the CLI, I need to configure the AWS CLI. AWS configure, and access key not required, secret key not required, and reason is AP-south-1, and then output. I wanted to see the output in JSON format. I really liked it, and okay. Now, if I run a command AWS S3LS, pay your attention. So I should not be able to access the content, because what is happening that it is trying to send the packet to the internet, and from the internet, it will be fetching all the information related to S3. So now here is the point. You might be wondering that is this AWS CLI need the internet access to list the resources? Yes, it does. AWS CLI always need the internet access to access the resources from the AWS. Okay. If you don't configure, if your instance don't have the internet access, so you will not be able to list the resources or use the resources by using the AWS CLI. When I say resources, so it can be anything. It can be S3, it can be IAM profile, it can be VPC, it can be RDS, it can be anything in AWS. So we will not be able to fetch the information from the CLI if the instance don't have the access to the internet. Now, because of the security purpose, your instance is available in a private subnet which don't have the access to the internet, either by using the NAT gateway or by using the internet gateway. Both of them are both of them are not available in the route table of your private subnet. So what can be done? So and you might be having a point that this AWS bucket is available in AWS itself, right? And your instance is also available in AWS. Can't we have a private connection between them? Can't we have a private connection between my instance and subnet, between my instance and the AWS resources? So now AWS says yes, it is possible. Earlier, when AWS launched his service, so it was not available, but now it is available. So we can create a VPC endpoint, and that will allow us to create a private link. And by using that private link, we can access the resources, right? We can access the resources through the private link. So you need to establish that link first of all. So let me go back to my VPC section. So till now, if anybody have any doubt, so they can ask me. If anybody have any doubt from this, what we done so far, these things I have already done, but just wanted to give a quick recap to all of you.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, cool. So go to the VPC section, and here you have this, from this navigation menu, you have this NAT gateway, and above this you have endpoint services and endpoints. So you need to click on this endpoints, click on this endpoints, and click on this create endpoint. Now you can see here a VPC endpoint allow you to securely connect your VPC to another services. So if you want your VPC to connect to another services, in that case, VPC endpoint is required. Fine. And there are like two kind of VPC endpoint is available. The first one is the gateway endpoint, and the second one is the interface endpoint, right? Now, what is the difference between these two? So interface endpoint is powered by private link and uses the elastic network interface as an entry point for traffic destined to the services. Whereas the gateway endpoint serves as a target for a route in your route table for traffic destined for the services. So we're gonna create this interface endpoint where it will be using the ENI. ENI, that means elastic network interface. Whenever you launch an instance and that instance have a public IP address, a private IP address, so that public and private IP address is configured on your ENI, elastic network interface, and that elastic network interface ENI is attached to your instance. Okay, so this is how it works. So that is what we're gonna do. We're gonna create the interface endpoint for our service, which service you wanted to access. So one more thing here, if you wanted to access the S3 service, or you wanted to access the, let's say VPC or RDS, then you have to go and create the different endpoints. It is not possible to access all the services all together by using a single endpoint. If you wanted to access the S3, then you have to create the S3 service endpoint. So now let's go and search for S3. So this is what is available. And now you need to choose your route table. And before that, you need to choose your subnet and VPC. So let's choose our VPC, and each VPC will be having its own endpoint, right? So when I say like interface endpoint, so what will happen? A rule with destination PL, this one, and a target with the endpoint VPC. So this thing will be get attached to your route table. So a new entry will be available in your route table that we will verify. Now you need to choose your route table. So This is my private route table attached with two subnets. Okay. And you can also apply the policy. So like full access or the custom. So if you say like full access, so allow access by any user or service within the VPC. So, in that VPC, anybody will be able to access this VPC endpoint. But if you say like custom, so in that case, you can go and define that who can go and access this VPC endpoint. So that kind of policy you can also define. Create endpoint, click on this close. So as I said, that one entry point will be get available. So this is the gateway endpoint. This is the gateway VPC endpoint. And if I go back and check my route table, so you will find that one entry has been added in my route table. So click on routes and you can see like this has been added, right? So and the target is VPC endpoint, VPC endpoint. Okay. And because we created for the AWS S3, so we will be able to access only the S3 service, nothing else. So now we can go and run the same command and we should be able to list the S3 services. See, right? We are able to do it. But if I will be trying something else, let's say AWS EC2 describe instances to describe all the instances in my account. So I will not be able to do it because I haven't created any VPC endpoint. And this is where you have to go and create the EC2 endpoint for EC2, you need to create a VPC endpoint for EC2 service. And so this is how this VPC endpoint works. Okay. So what do we what we understood? We understood that VPC endpoint allow to create a private link between the AWS services. It allow us to create the private link so that you can access the AWS services from the VPC. Okay. So this is what we mean by the VPC endpoint. Any question from this?
So by default, the Jump is having internet access gateway, right? So if we have any S3 buckets in public server, so if we click like AWS S3 LS, so will it display the S3 buckets?
So when I say S3 service, so basically when you create the S3 bucket, so that is always available over the internet, right? They have the policies whether that S3 can be available. The content of that S3 bucket will be publicly accessible or not. Here, what I'm talking about, here I'm talking that if your instance has the internet access, then only you will be able to access the AWS services, right? So you always need the internet access. Then only you will be able to list the S3 service or list the S3 bucket or the objects in your S3 bucket. But if you have the private instance, the instance which is available in the private subnet, which don't have the access to the internet gateway, either by using the NAT gateway or by using the NAT internet gateway, so you will not be able to access the S3 service or any other service because that the request is being forwarded via the internet and you don't have the internet connection. So now what it is doing, like it is forwarding the request by using the private link. That is what we created as of now. Okay, did you got the answer for your question?
Yeah, got it. So for each and every service, we need to have each and every VPC endpoint, right?
Correct, correct.
So is there any limitations like we can give only these many endpoints to particular VPC?
Yes, you can always apply the policies, and as per the requirement, you can create the number of VPCs. And there is a limitation that how many VPC endpoint can be created. You need to check that link from the AWS. So as like
Yeah.
we have a limitation for VPC that 5 VPCs can be created. Same wise, like we have the number of limitations for VPC endpoints too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question from any one of you?
No, right now.
Okay, fine. So now, like today, we are going to learn a very important topic of the DevOps, that is like Docker, right? So Docker has been very, very popular, and that is what we are going to learn. And before we start learning this thing, I wanted to install Docker and wanted to do like a couple of configuration on my machine. So you can have a look to this, that what I'm doing. Okay. So first of all, let's go and terminate these instances. These instances are not really required. And VPC endpoint also costs some amount, right? So I will highly recommend you that once you are done with practices and all, so you can always go and delete it. As soon as I go and delete this VPC endpoint, so the entries which has been updated in route table will be get removed. Okay, so if I go and click, click on this route table, so you can go and click on this private route table and click on routes. So you can see like this has been removed now. Okay. Now because we are going to learn Docker, so Docker Community Edition is available for free for Ubuntu operating system, CentOS operating system. But if I talk about the Red Hat, so Red Hat, in Red Hat you cannot install the Community Edition of the Docker. So so what we need to do, like we will be launching one Ubuntu server for us. So let's go and delete both of them. Both of them are not required. And terminate. Click on this launch instance, and here I can go and click on this community, and I can search for this Ubuntu from the list. We have a new version for Ubuntu 20.04. Okay, 20.04, maybe 20.01. And I'm going to choose this Ubuntu Xenial 16.04 OS. Click on this select button, and t2.micro is again fine for me. Configure instance detail, and I will be choosing 90 default VPC as of now. Okay, go and click on this storage, and 8 GB is fine for me. Give a name, and let's say like demo server. Yeah, I wanted to tag my instance in volume both. Configure security group, existing security group. Do we have any? Yeah, we do have a lot of. And the port number 22 is, yep. So we will go and update this, review and launch. And today I want to perform something special. I want you guys to do some of the things on this machine. So what I will be doing, like I will be giving access to this machine to you guys so that you can go and perform some of the activities with me. Okay. So for that, sharing the key pair is not feasible for me as of now. So what I will do, like I will go and allow the password access, allow using the password. So you guys will be able to log in by using the password. Okay. SSH-I, Lenovo, KPR, and then default username for Ubuntu operating system is Ubuntu, and paste the public IP address, and we should be able to log into this instance. Okay, so I need to update the security group also, right? So go and click on this demo. The port number 22 is open only for one IP address. That is what I've seen earlier. So I will go and click on this inbound tools, edit inbound rules, and here I will say like it is open to all, right? So that you guys can also go and log into this system when required. Okay, now I can go and try once again. Yes, it is working. Increase the font. Let's do sudo su. And I wanted to update the configuration file ssh hyphen sssd underscore config. And here we should be having password something. Yep, so prevent empty password, no. Again, let's search for this password keyword, press N for next. Okay, so here we got it. So you can see here, if I say like set nu colon set nu, so you will be able to see the line number. So you can see like the line number 52 says password authentication, no, right? And what I'm going to do, like I will be making a copy of this line and say paste, and I will say like comment this line, and the another line is say yes. Okay. Yep. So now we will say save it, and I need to create a user. So I will be creating a user called user add, and the name of the user is demo. So the demo user has been added. I can also verify it from this ID. Okay. Now let's set the password for this demo user, and let's say the password is demo and the demo. Password did not match. Demo, demo. Okay, it has been updated successfully. Now let me go and open a new session. So now I don't need to define the key pair by using -i option. I will, okay, one more thing I need to perform is like I need to restart the service of SSH systemctl restart sshd. So this one also. Now go back to your Chrome and copy the public IP address. Copy the public IP address, and this is my terminal. And say your user is demo, right? At the rate, hit enter, and give the password. Okay, good. So we so you so now you can say like we have logged in successfully, and we can list all of the things. Okay, and what I want to perform here, I wanted to define that this user should be having, I don't know. Okay, so let's open a file called etc passwd, and this file have the database for all the users which you create. So you can see right here that this user is available at the bottom, demo. So right here, and we have to go and say that this user should be able to create his shell. So shell is bin bash, and do you want to add any comments? So yeah, let's say like demo. This is a comment. This can be anything. Okay, and if you try to give this, so this is going to be shell for the user, and the home directory of the user is /home/demo. So I will just go and verify whether the home directory is available for the user. So ls-l/home. Okay, it is not available, right? I will go and make a directory in /home/home, and the name of the user is demo. Now the owner of this demo folder or directory should be root, right? So it is root, but it should own by the demo user. So I will change the permission ch own, and I will say like demo colon demo, and /home/demo. Okay. And I wanted to say like recursive permission. So yeah. So now if I try to go back and say exit and try to log in once again, you need to give the password, and you can see like now the current directory is /home/demo, right? Okay. So if I do like sudo su, is that possible? Yep. So sudo will not work because this is not a sudo user. Cool. So one thing has been done, that we have enabled the password authentication on our server. Now user will be able to log into the instance successfully. Okay. Now what else? Now we need to install Docker. And before I explain Docker and about Docker, let me install Docker on this machine. And then we will go like what is Docker, how this is working, how this is different from the virtualization like virtual machines. Okay, so the command is like apt get, and first of all, I will say like update. So it is going to update all the repositories which it has, and then we will be installing the Docker. Yeah. Do you have any questions to ask?
Yes, please. Thank you. So for this, we change it from root to demo, right? Like we changed the ownership, so we are not able to access a sudo for this instance.
Yes.
Where will be the root?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
can we not perform any actions about the sudo, or can we change that one root, or where it is root directory?
So as of now, I intentionally I haven't given the root permission because it may happen that some of you may run the different command and the instance will shut down, right? So that's why, because if I give the root permission, so everybody will be having the same level of permission. So that is the reason that I haven't given the root permission.
For the root, please demo user.
Yeah, if you wanted to give the root access, so you need to add this user in the sudo list. Okay, so that is what you can do. So there is a file called sudo.d or vi sudo that you can always update. So vi sudo is a command, and here you can add. You can see like it is saying that all member of group sudo to execute any command. So there is a group sudo which is available in your system. Okay, and if anybody is a like part of this sudo or the admin, so in that case they will be able to execute all the command. So vi sudo is the command which allow you to see the whole stuff, and I can show you that thing, that way you can find the group information. If the cars have already told you about the group and all, and here you will find this sudo group, where it is, yeah, right here. So you can see that Ubuntu is a sudo group, right? And there will be one more group. There is a one more group called admin. So yeah, admin doesn't have any user as of now. But if you go and add the user in admin, or you go and add a user in sudo, so that user will be able to access all the commands in the machine. So this is how you add a user, give the sudo permissions to the user. And once you give the sudo permission, the user will be able to execute all the commands in the system. Got it? Did you got the answer for your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool.
And if we add the sudo list, will it be temporary or like permanent, or any restrictions?
It will be permanent. It will be permanent. If I show you, you can always verify. Like demo user is only a part of this demo group, right? Demo user is a part of demo group. But if I execute id Ubuntu, so you will find that this Ubuntu user is a part of different group. Ubuntu, ADM, dial out, CD, floppy, sudo. That's why it has sudo permission, audio, div, video. So they are like different, groups are available, and this Ubuntu user is part of all of them. So if you got any kind of doubt in something, so you can always add, this user or this user, demo user, in all these groups if you're not able to do in something. But like adding the user in sudo group is completely fine. Then user will be able to execute all the commands by default.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so we were about to install this Docker on the machine, right? So like, we always have a good documentation for this Docker. And but as of now, I'm going to run a command apt. Apt is a command which allows you to install the packages on your Ubuntu operating system. Whereas in case of Amazon Linux, Red Hat, and CentOS, it is always yum. But in case of this Ubuntu, it is apt. Debian also uses the apt. Fedora also uses the apt. So apt get install docker.io. So it is saying that it will go and install these packages for you, okay, and all these packages will be getting installed on your machine. So let's say yes, I wanted to install all these packages. Now it will go and download it, and you will be able to, you know, run the command. So as soon as like we go and install Docker on our machine, so a group will be get created and called Docker.
So if it is for Red Hat, we should use yum install docker.io. IO is
No, in that case, first of all, you need to you need to add a repository, then only you will be able to install it. So you can always search on Google Docker installation, and we have a good documentation for Docker. And you will not be able to install like free version of the Docker or the open source version of the Docker, the community edition of the Docker on your Red Hat operating system. So I must say that you should use CentOS if you wanted to play around Docker. Okay, so this is the link, Docker engine. Yeah, so now like as you have the requirement for Red Hat, so I must say that Red Hat is the enterprise version, is the enterprise operating system. So that's why you can use this CentOS, and you can install Docker on CentOS. Click on this and you will be having the complete steps. That first of all you need to perform this, like remove existing Docker if it is available, then installation method, like you need to add the repo. Okay, once you add the repo, then you need to like enable that repo, and then you can install it from here. So this is the command which allow you. So CE means community edition. CE means community edition. Okay, but in case of Ubuntu, it is quite simple. Now it is like most a lot of companies are using Ubuntu operating system instead of Red Hat or CentOS. But still, like we should know all. Okay, so I was saying that as soon as you go and install this Docker, so you will be able to. There will be a group which will be get available to us called Docker. Okay, so if I say like graph Docker class etc group, so it should be available right here. So you can see like the group got created for us. Okay, fine. Now what we need to do, like we need to check the service of this Docker, whether it is like uh, active or it is not active. So it is active and running. Okay, so it is active and running. So now let me press this Q button, and if I say Docker images, which allow you to list all the images in your local machine, so it should not list anything. But if I run the same command from my demo user, so it will say something else, Docker images. So you can see like I'm getting this permission. Normal user are not able to execute any of the command, or are not allowed to execute on any of the Docker command. So how we can go and fix this? Got permission denied while trying to connect to Docker daemon, pocket this and this. So this user doesn't have the permissions to this Docker. So what we can do, like we can go back to our root user, and we can open the file class etc group, and we have a user group called Docker, and we can add this Docker, we can add this demo user in this group. Okay. And if you have like multiple, if you have multiple user in your system, so in that case you can add like demo 1, demo 2, demo 3, like that. Okay, adding a comma between them. So as of now I have only one user, so I will say like demo, save it, and I can go back and I can try once again. Maybe I need to exit and try it. See, so I'm able to list all the images, right? So as of now, I don't have any image, so that's why it is not listing any of the image on my local machine, but I'm able to execute the command. So our motto is done now. Now we have installed Docker and everything, and I'm talking so much about Docker, but I haven't told you that what Docker is, right? What Docker is. So let's run the top command so that my screen gets refreshed every time, in every 5 seconds, basically. Okay, so let's learn a bit about the virtualization, and see like what kind of problem is being solved by Docker, and then finally we will move to the other topics. So containerization using Docker 1. So okay. So what is virtualization? First of all, you should know that what is virtualization. Okay. So virtualization is the process of running multiple virtual systems or resources on top of a single physical machine. So as of now, you are launching an instance, right? As of now, you are launching an instance. So what is happening? Like, whenever you try to launch an instance for you, so that instance is being created on a physical machine, right? On a physical machine. So on a single physical machine, you will be able to create multiple EC2 instances. So AWS says that one physical server is getting shared with multiple people. So that is something is happening because of the virtualization concept. So because of virtualization, you can also install multiple operating systems on your machine. Even like in my case, I have a software called Oracle VM VirtualBox. So Oracle VM VirtualBox also allow you to virtualize your hardware, and then you can create multiple operating system on your Windows operating system, right? So, and in case of Mac also, you can install this Oracle VM VirtualBox, or and then you can launch like 2 and 3 virtual machines depending upon the resources, the actual resources available in your machine. So this is what we call virtualization. So virtualization, if you try to understand it from the diagram, so you have this host operating system, as in my case it is Windows, and then you install a hypervisor. You install a hypervisor like Oracle VirtualBox, and then you run the guest operating system like CentOS, like Ubuntu, like any other operating system, and then you run your application. So what happened? What is been happening? That This guest operating system have the access to the network available to this host operating system. Host operating system, that means base operating system, and the storage devices. Okay, so these are the two essential things which is always required: the storage device, the network. Okay, so this is being available. So what is happening? That is the resources on a physical machine. The resources on your physical machine like CPU, memory, storage, network devices, all these things are getting shared between your machine. All these things are getting shared between your machines. So the guest operating system have the CPU, have the memory, have the storage, have the network card. So this hypervisor allow us to virtualize the hardware available on our physical machine, and then on our physical machine we can install multiple operating system and we can run multiple applications on each of them. Okay, so this is quite beneficial that you are running one physical server and then you are running multiple virtual machines. So that is happening because of this virtualization. Now, problem before virtualization that we have a software A and then server A running on Ubuntu and then CPU 100%. So this is a very ideal case of situation, like where if you are running only one application on one physical server, so what will happen? Like sometime the consumption will be very high, or sometime the consumption of the CPU and memory will be very low. So this is the case before the virtualization. Now, if you wanted to run like software B or application B, so in that case, you have to go and run, server B, and then again the utilization is 10%, 20%, or 30%. Then again, like we are wasting 70% of the resources, maybe 80%, maybe 90%, depending upon the uses. So it is a huge loss for the company that they are buying like a lot of physical servers and the utilization is not up to the mark. So after virtualization, what happened? Like if you wanted to run application A or software A, or if you wanted to run the application B or software B, then you can run both of them on a physical server, on a physical server. And how you can go and run like both of them on a physical server, even though both of them have a requirement of Windows and Ubuntu. The software A have a requirement of Windows and software B have a requirement of Ubuntu, and the total CPU utilization will be 20. So how you can go and install like two operating system on one physical server? So that can happen because of virtualization. Virtualization tools are there like Hyper-V, like Zen, and then you have this VMware which is quite popular. So by using these hypervisor, you can virtualize your hardware and then you can install multiple operating system on your physical server. So it reduces the cost, it utilizes resources more efficiently. So these were the like advantages of the virtualization. Now we have containerization, which is quite popular. And now why we use containerization? So containerization is a OS level virtualization method used to deploy and run distributed application without launching an entire virtual machine for each app. So launching a virtual machine is always like, it takes around like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, depending upon the configuration. So even in case of EC2, you might have seen that you might have observed that, like launching an instance almost take like 2 minutes. Right? In case of Azure Cloud, it will take more than 2 minutes. It takes almost like 4 to 5 minutes to have an instance available. So it is like a big amount of time. And if you start configuring the instance by using the user data, so in that case, the time will eventually increase, and why you wanted to configure your instance by using user data? Because like the application requirement, because the application requires some dependent packages installed or the hardening installed, everything else. So this containerization, what it does, like it launches, you have this hardware. On this hardware, you install the operating system like Windows, like Ubuntu. As of now, we are running Ubuntu in case of uh, so as the operating system. Then you run the container engine. So you haven't seen that I installed a Docker on the machine, and now that is running as a container engine Docker. Okay, so container engine is Docker, And then finally, like this container engine Docker allow us to create multiple binaries and libraries for different containers. So you have like different container available, and each container have its own binaries, its own libraries, files, you know, and then you can run your application one, and then you can launch container one and container two, and then run application two. Then you can launch third container and run the application three. So this is quite feasible. And the best thing about the containerization that it takes a very small time to launch any of the application. That is the benefit. And you don't have to go and configure each and everything from the beginning. You can just define what all dependencies it required, and then you are good to go. So the advantages were like VM took too many resources to run, whereas the containerization containers take a very small amount, to run it. And VM were too big in size to be portable. So the size of the VM usually is like 8 GB, 10 GB, 20 GB, sometimes 100 GB or like 200 GB. So it is difficult to port from one place to another place, right? Where in case of containers, it is quite feasible. We can size of the VM start uh, from like 100 MBs or like few MBs to like few GBs, not more than that. Okay, so containers are not resource hungry, so that is one of the great thing that container doesn't require so many resources on your system, whereas the virtual machine always does. If I start virtual machine in my system, so it will like consume a lot of memory, but container can work fine seamlessly. Container is portable, so that is a great thing. Now, if I talk about the containerization tools, so one of them is like very popular, that is Docker. So that's why like whenever it comes to container, so people talk about Docker. Even some people say that, do you know Docker? That means they are asking that, do you know containerization tool like Docker? You know, and Mesos is also one of them, which is Apache Mesos, and we have this RKT. Okay, so you can see like you will not be able to find a graph for them, but here it is like for Apache Mesos and RKT Core OS, and but Docker is like huge in demand. You feel like Docker is quite demanding. So what is Docker? Docker is a computer program that perform operating system level virtualization, also known as containerization. It performs operating system level virtualization. Now, this is the life cycle of Docker. So first of all, you will be downloading an image from the Docker Hub, and then you will be and downloading. That means like pull the image, right? So whenever we say download, that means pull the image. In case of like GitHub, you have seen that whenever I say like download, so you probably mean that clone the repository, or maybe like pull the changes from the remote repository. In the same way, this is a remote repository where the all images are available. All the Docker images are available. So you can pull the images from there, and this is something known as Docker Hub. We call it registry, okay, registry. So Docker Hub, and then we pull the images. That when we download the images on our local machine by using this Docker engine, and then finally we go and run this Docker images, right? So we run the Docker image, we stop the Docker image and we delete it. So whenever I say that run the Docker image, that means we are trying to run a container. It will be a small container where you can go and run your application. So I quickly wanted to demonstrate you that if you wanted to run a very, very small container, so how you can do that. So let's go and try to perform this activity by using a user called demo. So I guess like this is demo user. Yep, this is demo user. So I wanted to say here that Docker run and IT, mm, yeah, and hello, and say like latest, just to know that yeah, everything is working fine, and I is not required here. So you can see like unable to find the, unable to find the image Docker, unable to find image hello latest locally. So it is trying to download the image, right? It is trying to download the image and it says like, okay, error response from daemon, pull access denied for hello, and repository does not exist. Let me go and say like it don't require Docker login. Okay, so let me go and say Docker login, and I can go and give my username, and I can go and give password. I don't know whether it is working or not, but yeah, let's try. Okay, so logged in, we logged in successfully, and my account is already available on Docker Hub. So if you are not aware where it is, so you can always go and say Chrome, open the Chrome, and Docker Hub. So this is a Docker registry where all the images is available by default, and you can create your account in this hub.docker.com for free. Okay, there is no restriction. You can always sign up, and I have given my username and password, and I logged in successfully to this machine. Now here I can go and search for hello. So let's go and search for hello, and you can see like it has like 10 million plus downloads available, and I can go and click on this image, and yeah, so you can see like it is available for Windows, it is available for Linux and all, and I will just go and select one of them. R. So hello hyphen world. So this is the okay, this is the official Docker image, and if you wanted to pull this image, so you can always say Docker pull hello world. And we have a lot of instructions, so you can say like Docker and hello world, and you should be getting this message in the output, right? So this should available. How this image is created? How is this image created? So this image is prime example of using scratch image effectively, hello.c, right? So you can always have a look to this, that how this got created and all, right? So let's go back to the demo user, and I'm into this demo user, and I will say Docker. Let me go and clear the screen first of all. Docker, and yeah, and say run, and the name of the image is hello minus world. So the image is not available locally. It will go and pull the image, and then it will go and run it. So run is a command which allow you to run the container. So this container got executed, and you can see like got ran, and then you can see all the output which is available in this hello.c program. Okay. So a lot of companies are using Docker nowadays, and it is good to have uh, it is good to run some of the applications on Docker. It is quite easy to run and maintain applications on Docker, right? Not every applications, but yes, some of them work absolutely fine, and it reduces a lot of efforts for DevOps engineers, for system engineers. Okay, so let me go and run the top command once again here. So this is what we have done, life cycle. Docker Hub, then we pull the image. It was not available on my local system, so Docker engine has downloaded. And now if I go back and list the images in my machine, so Docker images. So I should like see this image. You can see that this image is available. Hello world, and the tag is latest. So I have downloaded the latest version of this image, and it was created like 3 months ago. And the size of this image, you can see like it is very very small, 13.3 KB. You are running an application on an image, the size of that image is 13.3 KB. So this is what we have in Docker, and yep. So component of Docker ecosystem, it is important to know. So we have Docker Hub where like all the public images are available. Even some of the companies are using Docker Hub as their registry where they used to keep their own private images. Fine. Then we have this Docker engine which used to manage all the containers on your system. And we have this Docker images, you know, all the images are available on Docker Hub, and image contains your application. Okay. Then then we have this container. Whenever you run the image, so the container gets created where the actual application is running. Then you have this Docker volume. I will talk about Docker volume. As of now, you can think that if you wanted to share any data between your container and the host operating system, that is our Ubuntu in this case, so we use Docker volume. Then we have Docker file. If you wanted to create your own Docker image, so Docker file is something which we should explore. Okay. So I will talk about these things one by one later on. As of now, you can read only one thing here, that Docker Hub. Docker Hub is a central Docker registry. We have this Docker engine. It is a heart of the Docker ecosystem and managing your container runtime. Okay, managing your container runtime. It works on top of operating system level, and it utilizes the kernel of the underlying OS. We have Docker images. It's like the template of a container. So when I say Docker image, so yes, it is a template for your container, a kind of blueprint for your container. That's what you're going to run, and it is created in layers. So that is one thing that you should remember. It is created in layers. Okay, once you update any of the existing image, so you are eventually adding a new layer to the image. So any new changes in the image result in creating a new layer. Then we have this container. A Docker container is a lightweight software environment, and yes, Docker volume. If you wanted to say that my data, the data available on my container should not delete, and in that case we use a Docker volume. We are going to learn soon about it. Then you have this Docker file. If you wanted to create your own image, then you should be using this Docker file. Okay, installing Docker and everything we have already done, right? And now we can go and check the Docker version on our system. Yeah, it is 18.09.7. 18.09.7. You can always pull the image, and if you don't want to run the container as of now, so you can pull the image and keep in your system. Even when you run the Docker run command, so it always download the image and then run the container out of that image, typically known as template. You can always list, as we have already seen that how this command works. You need to say images. Okay. And then if you wanted to run a container from the image, so in that case, Docker run image. So we have seen that hello world, how we can go and run a container by using hello world. Docker ps is a command. Docker ps is a command help you to list all the containers which are running in your system. So as of now, you will not find, let me clear this screen. You will not find any of the container running. So you will not find. But if you wanted to list, so it always show you the running container in your machine, running container, remember. And if you say like Docker ps -a, then it shows all of the container which got created in your system, whether it is running or whether it is like created in the past, so all of the container. So -a option with ps, if there are any stop container, they can be seen by adding a -a flag in this command. Yeah, so this is one of the interesting command that exec. So if you wanted to log into any of the container, we are habitual of making a change in the operating system and by creating a file by using touch and making configuration changes, by logging into the system. But if you wanted to perform the same activity and you wanted to verify some of the things by logging to the container, so you can always do the exact. So let me show you. First of all, I will go to this Docker Hub, and let's say that I wanted to run Nginx on my system, and we will wrap up after this. Nginx, right? So let's go and click on this. This is official build of Nginx. Official build of Nginx. So I can download this image first of all, and then I can go and run it. And it is not a good idea to always say like Nginx, because whenever you say Nginx, so it always download the latest image, and well, let's say that tomorrow something has been added by the Nginx, and so again you go and run the container and it will download the latest image from the system. So uh, if there is a bug in the new code and something, so you will be in trouble. So always say that you want to download the particular version by using tags. Okay, by using tags. So here we have the so here we have all the tags and everything. So I can say that I wanted to have this tag, and I can say like copy this, git pull, clear the screen, and paste it right here. So what it will do, like it will download the image. Okay, it will download the image. Fine. Now I can go and list it. So I can go and say Docker images, and you can see like the repository name is Nginx and the tag is a stable Perl. So 5 days ago created, and I can go and say like Docker run hyphen okay Docker run Nginx and this tag. So let's copy this thing and paste it. If something is happening or what? Let me go and play around this. So a new image has been downloaded, Docker images, and yep, stable, and then Alpine. Yep. So we successfully logged into our Docker container. So this is a command. You can also run it. So -i, that means interactive, T that means tag, and then you are saying that you wanted to log into this Docker container /bin and /sh. Okay, and sometime it is like sh, sometime it is bash. So you need to remember, or you need to try any one of them. Sometime if you're login, if you are able to log into the system by using sh, then it is fine. Otherwise go and try bash. Okay, so now if I say docker ps and wanted to list all the running containers, so I will not find anything, right? So what I need to do here, if I wanted to run this thing in the background, so I have to say like run this container and deattach. So I need to say -d option. So you got the container ID. This is the container ID, and now you say Docker ps. You can see, like, it is listing one running container. Okay, it is listing one running container. And if I say curl http localhost, and this is the container port number. It is running on port number 80, so I need to say like port number 80, and okay, failed to connect. Fine. So the container is running on port number 80, but I haven't defined that whenever I do the local host, I wanted to curl the local host on port number 80 and forward the request on port number 80 to the container. I haven't defined that thing. So what I will be doing, that I will go and stop this container. So Docker container stop, and the container ID. Yep, it has been stopped. And now say, so we don't have any container running, and we will say like d attack, and we need to define one more thing here. We can define port. So -p port number 80 on my local host, and that port number 80 on my container. Yeah, it is running now. And if I say Docker ps, so you will see, like, if anybody requests on this local host on port number 80, and forward the request to the port number 80 on my container. Fine. So now I can say curl on my local host, and I should be having some of the content. So this is how this container and everything works. And tomorrow we are going to learn more about this container. And you know and just wanted to announce one more thing, that from next week, like, our most of the syllabus will be covered, and we will be having off on Thursday and Friday. Right? We will be having off on Thursday and Friday, and we will start our class, and we will be having continuous classes on Saturday and Sunday, Monday. So throughout the week, but we will be having off on Thursday and Friday. Is that fine for all of you? Do you want to add something in this?
Yeah, okay.
That's fine, yeah?
So yeah, we will check. Yeah, yeah. So you're saying like in IST timing, Thursday and Friday are off, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Because, like, I have like continuous sessions, and it's getting really, a lot of things back-to-back sessions. So that's why uh, we will try to off on Thursday and Friday, and so that you can have, more time if required. Because, like, I have to go and look at the time. Okay, now it is 6:44, so I need to get prepared for the another batch. So that's why, if required, then we will extend the session whenever needed. So that's why, like, Thursday and Friday off, and from the next week, and then we will have the classes on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So so many things related to Docker. All right.
Yeah, from this week
So
or
if you
from
have any
next week?
questions, sorry.
Uh, so from this week or from next week? So do we
Yeah,
have a
this
class
week,
tomorrow?
no, from next week.
Okay.
This week I will manage. I don't want to do like break the flow and all. So from next week, from Monday, basically.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So anything from this Docker as of now? We are going to learn a lot about Docker. We are going to run Jenkins even on Docker. So anything from this, if you wanted to ask?
So what is the flow like? As of now, we covered until 3 or 4
Yeah, let
services.
me summarize.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Okay, so if I talk about this Docker, so Docker, first of all, we learned that how to install Docker, right? Then we learned that how we can go and run the Docker from a normal user. It is not really required to run Docker from the root user. So it can be executed from the normal user. For that, you have to add in a group called Docker, and then we verified that Docker is running fine or not by running a container called hello world, hello-world. We have also seen that how we can go and run a command Docker login to log into our hub, Docker registry basically. And we have also seen that how we can go and download or pull the particular image with a particular tag, how we can run a container. And yep, last we have seen that how we can go and say that my container is running on port number 80, and I want to, if anybody request my local host, right? Because the container is running on my local host. If anybody is requesting to my local host, so how we can say that, yeah, the request to the local host get forwarded to the Docker container. So for that, we have defined -p option. So -p option, that means you can see here that, if anybody is requesting my local host on port number 80, then forward the request to port number 80. And we have also seen that how we can go and run and log into the Docker container when we are trying to run. And last thing, okay, I think it has timed out. Yeah, it's timed out. So last thing, if you have this Docker container and you wanted to log in to this Docker container, Docker exec is the command -it, and you can say the container ID. Okay, and you can always say like bin sh. You need to define shell basically. So you can see like the whole stuff over here. You can run the link command, yeah, like that. So this is the exec command which allow you to log into your system. And last thing, yeah, this is the last thing. Rest of the thing I will be explaining tomorrow, that how other things work in Docker. Yeah. Anything which you guys wanted to ask from this? And of course,
Yeah.
like we learn about VPC Endpoint also.
Yeah, we covered 3 or 4 services in AWS, right? So will we continue AWS, or we will continue some of those and some of?
AWS, we will be covering the last topic, that is, AWS Lambda, and yeah, and rest of the things. So what all things we have, so that is related to DevOps thing. We already covered a lot of things in AWS, VPC, Elastic Load Balancer, auto scaling group, AC2, and we will be covering Lambda, and yeah, and one more thing, that is like RDS, right? So we will also cover RDS.
Okay.
Okay. And if you feel that you wanted to ask anything else apart from this, so you can always ask me. I will just go and add those things into this, our course content. That's fine for me.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you tomorrow. Then we will connect on Monday. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Enjoy. Don't forget to practice. Bye.